So I just watched a video from SF Productions about Sonic hot takes, and I was sorely disappointed. The reason as to why I was disappointed was because these weren't really hot takes. They were takes, but not really hot. Like not unpopular or anything that would make me enraged or surprised. There's even some takes that just don't even make that much sense. Like Boom wants a lyric that doesn't make any sense to me at least. So instead of being the average viewer that complains and complains and complains and to the YouTuber and asks them to do a better version of the video, I decided to just make one myself, and we're going to take a look at actual Sonic hot takes. To make it much easier, it's just Twitter hot takes, because Twitter is just that insane. It's pretty easy to find insane hot takes on Twitter, because Sonic Twitter is this weird thing where Sonic gets really political in a sense of characterization. It's a pretty big focus on Twitter, especially on Amy, Sonic, and they tend to have like different views on how content has been put out recently for Sonic. Nobody really agrees on anything. I've seen bias towards more 2000 stuff. It's not really biased, they have their own reasons as to why they prefer that stuff, but for some people it's just pretty much biased. So Twitter is just a big mess, huge mess. You could release a preview page of the IW Sonic comics and best believe there will be a thread of somebody trying to debunk it precisely with excruciating detail as to why this single dialogue, this single line of Sonic. So now we'll just look at these hot takes, and that's pretty much the entire video. So we start off with this take, and we're starting off pretty strong here, ladies and gents. I think you might explain this in the reply tweets, but I'm sorry. We're looking at the takes, not the whole reasoning, so I just screenshotted this take, and honestly, I don't understand it. Sure, that could be your opinion, but saying actually makes it seem like you think this is like the truth, and that's just crazy. Because whoa, I don't really understand, but like I guess that was at the time where Leyland was not a well-liked character, but I don't really think she's the worst, because at least she got something going. She's not other characters where she got nothing really. Like she got some. She was very abrasive towards her teammates because she really wanted to not really follow on the leads, and also wanted to very much become a true leader. But unfortunately, that has blinded her from seeing very obvious blind spots that Mimic exploited. So that's my opinion on this take. It's very hard because I wouldn't say she's by far the worst Sonic character. The characters are way worse than that, because at least she got something. She probably hates Landland because of her reception in the IDW comics and how she acted back then. I'm pretty sure right now people don't really hear her as much, but yeah. Next take. Movie Sonic is better than modern Sonic. Well, it depends really on who you ask in general, because modern Sonic, I don't think movie Sonic and modern Sonic are really the same kind of character. Since movie Sonic has the fully defined character arc, because modern Sonic, he doesn't really have one. It's more like when IDW tries to do a character arc, they tend to more or less reaffirm his ideals. They're just sort of testing Sonic. He doesn't really evolve. Fine. He never really changes his ways, if you know what I'm saying. I can kind of see what people would think that movie Sonic is better than modern Sonic, because there are Sonic fans that appreciate characters with a character arc. There are Sonic fans that appreciate characters like Tails, Shadow, Knuckles. So movie Sonic, who pretty much follows the same blueprint as these characters because he has a character arc, would be more liked by these kind of fans. In my opinion, I don't think that's the case, because movie Sonic, he's cool, but a lot of the times he can be very cringe with how he's dancing and stuff. I don't hate him. I like him in his own way. But if I were to compare which kind of Sonic I want to see more on screen, it's modern Sonic. Movie Sonic, I could see him succumb to emotions, whilst modern Sonic doesn't do that. And also, I think modern Sonic is just cool. Seeing movie Sonic pull off some moves, that's cool. But due to the nature of the movies, there are times in movie Sonic could fumble, whilst modern Sonic, he might do stupid things, but a lot of the times he's just built different. So I mean, I disagree with this take. I think modern Sonic is better than movie Sonic, but I understand if you think the opposite if you're one of the Sonic fans that prefer a character arc. Now, this take came out when the new kill suit dropped, and honestly, it's Sonic Twitter. Everything Sonic related these days on Sonic Twitter, people love to talk about constantly, and I also love to disagree. Some people agree, some people disagree. Now, I saw what Tyson Heads tried to do with Amy and Rouge and pretty much every character. He wanted to show in this kill suit the brotherly bond of Sonic and Tails, and sort of the general bonds of the Sonic character. And I've seen a lot of Sonic fans not really wanting that. They kind of want the more comedic side instead of the more funky emotional side of the Sonic cast. When you really think about it, all these characters tend to not really change like in terms of age. It's also implied that, you know, they grow, they mature, they change over time. So I don't think it's that bad. In my opinion, I don't really agree with what he's saying, bro. I can see what he means. Now, I decided to pick this one because to me it's not really a hot take, but it is hot depending on the kind of friend you're talking to. Because right now, the Sonic community, a lot of people tend to look at the meta era as this era of Sonic that was sort of destined to suck. And a lot of people tend to forget the context that people were in at the time. This guy probably doesn't understand the reason as to why Sonic Colors exists, as it was made to quell the backlash from games like Sonic Unleashed. So to have stories that are less serious in order to appease to the critics. Also agrees that the writing isn't really all that good. And in my opinion, yeah, it's probably the case, but there are people that probably really like, you know, the juvenile tone. Technically, I would say that I generally agree. Now, this is what I call a bit of a misinformation take, because it's talk about Sega of Japan giving 6 cartoons, which I'm pretty sure most of them really were not really approved by Sega of Japan. Like shows like The Adventure of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Underground. These were more typical Sega of America. It was more or less on the American side, not really on the Japanese side, so I don't really get why he's saying this. And 20 years of games, it does make sense, so I guess it's weird, because I'm pretty sure Sonic is like more than 30 years old, so it's a little odd to say that, but oh well. Design-wise, I don't really like how the free fighter design. Actually, it's fine because it's sort of its own thing, and also, it's good. While inside AM, they don't really look like Sonic characters, so it's very off-putting, and I haven't really watched the show, so I'm not gonna judge the show in like general, though it did say the cast and setting. I can't judge the story, I've heard of it, but I haven't really seen it. The cast, I think that the Japanese cast is just a lot better, because the characters look a lot more expressive, and overall a little more appealing. The Freedom Riders got the plus, but it's only like an argue where I could really see them shine. And also design-wise, since the inflamed IDW designs are more like Sonic characters. Now, the setting, I gotta be honest with you guys. Saturn has a good setting, but Sonic, like of Japan, they don't have one setting, they have multiple settings. If you specifically want a setting similar to that, Forces and Concept was good. There's also like Prime, but we haven't had a lot of Sonic games to really present this setting. That makes Sonic of Japan's got more original stuff like Sonic 10 AM. That's something that's a lot closer to a portion of the core differences, which is the whole theming of the nature versus technology. So I could kind of see where it's coming from, especially if he's like either blinded of nostalgia or just really likes Sega of American characters. Now, this thing is pretty interesting. It's talking about the fact that Sonic's greatest rival is actually Jet and not really Shadow and Knuckles. And I kind of agree why. In my opinion, Jet is probably Sonic's only actual rival, because Sonic and Knuckles are not rivals, they're more like brothers. And Sonic and Shadow, nowadays, they tend to act more like rivals. But throughout the history, it felt more like they were rivals in Adventure 2, kind of, but after that, they just respected each other. It was kind of like Dragon Ball, where I would compare Shadow and Knuckles to like Tenshinhan and Piccolo. They were equals to Goku, until they were not. Like Tenshinhan stopped becoming Goku's equal on the 25th World Tournament, and Piccolo stopped becoming Goku's equal during the same Sonic. And I'd say it's kind of the same case for Jet, where he's like the closest thing to Vegeta for Sonic, because he still holds that rival title. But I think what he meant by rival is probably like something dynamic. And dynamic wise, I think I prefer Sonic and Knuckles, especially if it's Sonic Frontiers and Sonic and Shadow, because although some people don't really like the fact that the rival dynamic has been brought back with Sonic X Shadow Generations and Sonic Wasting Crossroads, I do enjoy it. Sonic X Shadow Generations didn't really have the rival dynamic being this prominent, but it was sort of there. So overall, do I agree with this take? Honestly, I somewhat agree. Now, let's just talk about IDW, which is also one of the reasons why I like Sonic Twitter. They talk about IDW way too fucking much. It is insane, bro. The amount of tweets that I've seen talk about IDW. It's always the first way to issue. Sometimes they talk about the new stuff, sometimes they talk about the later stuff, but the debates that always get heated, but it's always issue 2 because of Amy, issue 5 or 6 because of Shadow. I sometimes talk about issue 11 because of some of the interactions. Issue 19, issue 20, issue 31 to 32, it does happen from time to time. Sometimes they tend to talk about like the ending of the Metal Riders in this case. How can I forget? Issue 23. I swear to fucking issue 23. This intro will make me sick. But I pulled this take because it embodies Sonic Twitter to me. This shows most of the shit you're gonna characterization, discourse, prioritization of one's vision. So the guy who tweeted pretty much right there, and of course, IDW. I swear to God, it has to be IDW. It also has to be modern stuff. People never, and I mean they never debate too much on like the 2000s and stuff. The debates that happen on Twitter, it's always stuff from the 2020s, the 2010s, and when it's stuff from the 2000s, it's always related to stuff that happens in the 2010s or the 2020s. But if I wanted to get into the take itself, if I were to be honest, it's a very opinionated take because this guy doesn't really like Sonic's direction issue, or even all of IDW since he refers to Sonic as line, which we talked about issue 12 with him telling Metal Sonic Go, issue 22, and a bunch of other issues. And to be honest, like I'm not gonna fight it too hard. That's what you think. Okay, alright. In my opinion, I don't think it is out of character because I see the point that Ian Flynn was trying to do. The point that he tried to make with this moment was that he wanted to show Shadow's hypocrisy by, trying to take out Eggman because of his past actions, because in this moment he's Mr. Tinker. But Sonic disagreed with that because of that logic, then Shadow should be taken out right now for his actions when he was back in Sonic Adventure 2. And some people may say this and say, well, Sonic is really stupid for comparing these two instances. Well, technically, he's not wrong, because Mr. Tinker is Eggman's brain being messed around by the Phantom Ruby, and Shadow Adventure 2 is Shadow's brain being messed around by Jebel. So in both cases, we have two characters where the spirit, where their memories were entangled with by an outside force. So by that logic, I think this one makes a lot of sense because Sonic is trying to highlight the hypocrisy in Shadow's decision. And the commentator is also saying that Shadow understands the virtue of rebirth and also second chances, which I don't think that's what the Angel was trying to do. I don't understand what he means by rebirth. I also don't really mean what he means by second chances. Oh yeah, because, we're killing Eggman. Oh, Sonic wants to leave Mr. Tinker be so that he could basically have a second chance of life. So I guess I could see what he means by this. And basically the whole thing is saying that forgiveness is a laughable concept. But from what I explained, both Shadow and Mr. Tinker are very similar. The memories were messed around because of an outside force. And Shadow wants to punish a man who doesn't remember his past actions. That's kind of the thing that he wants to highlight here. So overall, I disagree with the take heavily. I don't think it's true. I don't know if it's like a Twitter thing, because the more I read this tweet, the more I think that the guy tweeting kind of misunderstood what he was trying to do. But I don't think so. I think he generally doesn't like the direction he's going for and doesn't really enjoy how he's doing it. Which, I mean, that's the case. That's fine, I guess.
Gloves on, ready for the rumble. Let's go. It's a face off. Stick and move. I'm ahead of the game. Using my tactical brain. Let's kick it. High speed with the clutch line.